Alright, hello everyone. So, while I'm doing my study, I'm probably going to do monthly updates unless I have like a new poem or something like that that I post up, just until I get my study finished, because that takes up most of my time right now. So, here are some of the updates. I'm just kind of going through a lot past things in my on my YouTube channel, and kind of showing I would say certain things. I don't want to say too much because I don't know what YouTube wants to do according to its own dictatorial rules, dictatorship, authoritarianism. Apparently YouTube must have the bigger dick. So, but they don't. So, I'm gonna begin things off talking about consciousness. And I'll leave the descriptions below, and there's a video to this one too, but I'm not going to go deep into that one on this one. If you want to click on the link and you can look at the little snippet. But this right here, this quote by Carl Jung, kind of describes kind of like how the collective consciousness and the collective unconsciousness affects us. So basically, one of the things that the Democrats are good at is they always repeat things, and that's a magic spell in a sense. And what repetition does is not only doesn't get into your mind, but everything that everybody does goes into what is called the collective unconsciousness. And that's the one reason why I post my poetry maybe so much on Twitter, is because Twitter is a great avenue towards the collective unconscious. And when you get things in there, it basically can change the direction of things, because most people are acting unconsciously. That's if you research the James Lang theory, you'll understand that a little bit, because it talks about how people are in a state of automaticity. One of the main things you need to know is the ego is not real. I think I went over that last time. But the whole thing right now is when transformation is going in, you want to be able to hold the ideas of both sides, and through holding these it brings tension, and we're at that tension moment in society. And this is where I believe what I call a societal transformation is going to occur. And I don't believe it's going to be the societal transformation that everybody's thinking about, because there's a hidden secret side to all this that I'm revealing that is in conflict with the known side. And people, most people are like, well, it shouldn't be a secret, blah blah blah. And I know that, but in things like these, sometimes there has to be secrets, because it creates the shadow. And that's what I'm trying to tell everybody, is that, like, this is, if what's going on is what I think is going on, then who's ever pulling the strings in all this is truly like a mastermind at this. Because the secret creates the shadow, which the shadow is what everybody fears. So the left is revealing itself in that it's not hidden anymore, but it fears the secret side of everything, like the Q or the Republicans or anything like that. You notice how the side that is conscious, which is the left, has to attack what it fears in the shadow. And this is what it's talking about, being able to hold both at the same time, that balance between them, between the conscious, what everybody sees in the shadow side, what everybody fears and is trying to keep hidden. And that's coming closer and closer to where nothing's going to be able to really hold both these sides. And when that energy has created enough, this is hopefully where the transformation begins. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is the fire and desire thread. I'm gonna play this. I got my headphones on. I don't know if it's actually, it looks like it records it, but I'm just not quite sure. So for some reason it doesn't record it and it sounds kind of mute on this part. The link will be in the description. I got a lot of things I gotta do, so I'm not gonna go back through and take my headphones off and re-edit it. But I'm gonna go ahead and let it play, because this is a key part about the ego and desire. So
opposites are water and fire, Mercury, sulfur, and the moon and the sun. Before the union of the opposites can come together, the evil thief must be taken care of. The evil thief represents a self-robbery due to collective thinking, and this thief is crude sulfur and not true sulfur. So what does sulfur represent? Sulfur represents the active substance of the sun, or the motive factor in consciousness, the will and the involuntary motivation or impulse ranging from interest to possession proper. Sulfur is the life-giving warmth or desirousness, or it is basically life energy. The ego-centered desirousness, as crude sulfur, which is an unconscious that demands to have what it wants, when it wants it. This is evil, and you recognize it when it turns tyrannical or power-ridden, like, man, I got this, or, it takes on, the desire becomes the more, like, filling prophecy. It becomes very selfish, or you become very selfish. You must have it, and if not, it's like you're going to be depressed, angry, mad, and then, I'm going to bring up another quote that may express this a little bit more from Heidegger. The more you cling to that which all the world desires, the more you are every man who has not yet discovered himself and stumbles through the world like...
okay. So basically what I wanted everybody to know there is that you got to be careful with your ego, because you got to remember that your ego isn't real. Your ego essentially it created itself, but it disguises itself as you, which sounds very complicated, because it assumes your name and it assumes your whole identity. It's kind of like it eats everything that you are, but it makes it appear as you. It disguises itself as you, so you don't realize that it's the ego that's the driving force behind everything. So like when you say your name, that's your ego acting as you. And you can tell when your ego is in control, because if you don't get what you want, then you start acting differently. Like I said in the video, you get mad, angry, depressed. It's not you that's really mad, angry, or depressed. It's the ego, which is artificial, that makes that happen within you. Okay, if you have any questions about any of this, yeah, go ahead and ask, because I know how this can sound complicated, but these are guides to transformation, because that's the main goal of everything. So let's move on to the next. Okay, because I'm trying not to make this video too long. I'm just going to kind of read some of this. Okay, so this, the link will be in the description if you want to play the video, but this, December 9th of 2019, I began talking about basically that there's going to be some kind of economic crisis coming. That's why I talked about the gold standard, and that would basically solve the world's issues, especially when it comes to corruption. To see what everybody doesn't quite understand right now is we have a fiat currency, which means our money is worthless. Literally, it's like fairy dust. Even in academic papers stated that. That was empirical evidence against the fiat system. So all this money's being, and the fiat system is what allows all this money to be printed. Like if we had a gold standard, then the ability for our government to print limitless money would be cut off, because they wouldn't be able to print limitless money because gold is backed by something. Because if they tried to continue to print limitless money, you know, people would be really mad, because the gold would eventually become worthless, and it would keep these politicians from sneaking things into these bills, like oh, we need such and such money for such and such, like they did in those COVID-19 bills where they were handing money out to all these businesses. A gold standard would put an end to that, and it would better control the spending of the government. But on that topic, I also do believe that the American people do not realize how much has really been stolen from them. And I support that when this shift to a gold standard happens, that the American people are reimbursed for what has been stolen from them. Like, let's just take for example, people believe that they own their property. Well, if you own your property, then why do you pay taxes on it? Doesn't really sound like you own it. And there's more. I mean, this all goes really too deep, so deep that, you know, I'm writing a novel about it. And even in the novel, you know, I still have a lot of hidden things in there. Because the process of waking up has to be a somewhat delicate process, so you don't go backwards. And so there's meanings within meanings within meanings, let's just say. But the path is there for those who choose to take it. Alright, let's go with the next one. Okay, so on this one, this was a poem that I wrote on January 18th of 2020. And I'm going to go through what I wrote on the poem on YouTube. I'm not going to play it, but I just... this was me trying to let people know, you know, some events that were coming. Okay, so here's the poem. Religions are losing faith. The kangaroo courts persecute the innocent, as the governments ignore the cries of their people. Lies have become truth, and the truth has become a lie. Insanity rules the sane. The prophecies are coming true. Evil rules the world, and everyone is blind to what they worship outside. The pawns are lined up to take the crown in the west. An earthquake shakes, and in the east volcanoes awake. As the ocean begins to make its waves, the pieces are set. The domino effect is about to begin, but don't worry, this is not when time ends. Alright, so I hope you kind of understand that. Like I said, if you have questions about it, you're always free to comment, but I think that was plainly said, so gonna move on to the next one. Alright, so this poem is about a golden age beginning, and that will happen. I think that might happen for the United States around 2022. I mean, not 2022, 2025, when we elect this next president called the Great Uniter. Now, man, this time's kind of confusing. So, it depends if T is elected again, then the Great Uniter won't come until 2028. But there could be some hidden things that we're not seeing, and it's still possible that the Great Uniter is elected in 2024. So this is where things get confusing. From everything that I read back in 1998. But we are on the right path in the right direction. And I know that's hard to believe. But so far everything's gone accordingly to what that document I read said. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But good things are coming. I do know that, and I know that sounds like impossible, but I just ask you to stay positive, because I believe they are. And then finally, this one right here, if you want to check out my future predictions on this video, it's the right there. The link is in there if you want to go to it and stuff like that. But basically, I cover a few things in there, and I talk about the death of the Queen and a big earthquake that will happen, and that big earthquake I thought was going to happen in California, but I wasn't quite sure about where the earthquake was going to happen. But the death of the Queen and the earthquake are two events that were supposed to lead up to these huge events that are coming. And one of those huge events that are coming is World War III, and now you're starting to be able to see that, and And look who I say are the players. I mean, hey, I knew. Um, so it, everything's happening. Um, everything's going the way that I've explained things would. So that's why I'm asking you. Just be patient. We're moving into this really, really, positive direction, and it's just a matter of time and patience and just watching. Now I've talked about things that the main key things that we're looking for right now that should be coming up next at some point is the collapse of the economic system, a possible arrest of Donald Trump, and an economic crash, which will not last forever. None of those situations will. And my timings, I know, have been off because I've been trying to guess those, because I wasn't really given what specific dates or anything like that, just events that were going to happen. But it felt like the economic crisis didn't last too long. I'd like to say at most maybe between 2 weeks to a year. And it might be throughout the rest of this term if nobody shows up. It ends when T shows up. I believe that's how it happened. And oh yeah, there's Biden's possible impeachment too that should be happening, or something. He might die of natural causes. I'm not quite sure. All I know is I believe he is taken out of office in some form or manner, either of natural causes or of impeachment, because the whole thing is everything that the left said about Trump was actually going to happen to Biden, and impeachment is one of those things, and I believe even the left wants it now. But the economic crisis is the one that I would say I'm worried most about, because it's supposed to be really fucking bad, from what I understand, or that was what I felt when I read it. Like man, this is gonna be horrible. And even I was like, how do we get out of this? But I see all those pieces now. So be patient. We're not out of the bad yet. Things are gonna suck, but we're getting there. And I'm gonna leave you with this. Those links will be in the description. So you all have a good one. Stay thinking positive. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble, Open Diary, and Prosebox. You can hit me up on all those if you want to. Open Diary and Prosebox are also good places to go. I'm not advertising for them, but they're mainly left dominated. And if any of you want to go over to those sites, they're free, because we need some more right people there to balance things out. Right now, that's what we need. We need to start making. We need to put effort into creating balance, because once we create the balance, you'll see the shift occur. And you can have balance. You can either create it yourself. That's why it's important maybe for you to go to those sites if you want. But if not, consciousness will create that balance. And, I think it's better for us to create the balance, because if consciousness creates it, things are going to get more chaotic. Eventually, the whole shift is going to occur, but it depends on how much chaos you want to happen from that. Anyways, I'm going to let you go with that. You guys have a good one. I'll probably be on sometime next month for another update, because my study won't be done. But peace out. Have a good one. Think positive. And whack a yama yama.